think I can't stick that thing into it. There, that'll be beautiful. There you are, Brian. Isn't that stunning? Perfect. Quintessential leopard drinking shot. Paul, you're in London in a telly office. I don't know what a telly office is, but as it has the word office behind it, a telly office. I don't know what a telly office is either. Anyway, you are... Look, he's just getting a fright from the dust blowing by. Anyway, whatever kind of office you were in, it's a good idea to be watching safari. It'll keep you sane. You want to know do we know how many leopards there are in the reserve? We don't know exactly. We have a pretty good idea. So we see 2 male leopards in our particular piece, maybe 3 in our 1,500 hectares, but they're not on this area permanently. 2 or 3 females that we see, 2 young males sometimes come onto the area. But there is a very good idea of the total number of leopards within the Sabi Sands, and including all cubs, it's probably somewhere between 75 and 100. And I know that sounds like quite a big gap, but I don't know offhand exactly who's where and how. But certainly the Panthera, for example, which does all the leopard research in this area, they would have a very good idea of how many we had. Jay, you're in Illinois, and look at the picture of his reflection there. Isn't it beautiful? You're querying why he's got that curved edge to the tail. There's actually quite a good reason for it. Well, other than not dragging it on the floor, of course. You see it's white-tipped, it's tipped with white at the end. And what that means is that it's an effective following mechanism, and it's an effective flag. So when he's a youngster, his mother will be able to spot that in the bush when they're moving together. And then when he goes out on his own, as you saw earlier, he flicked it up into the air as that Franklin started alarm calling at him, as did Karula when a number of birds started alarming at her. And that white tip to the tail is an indicator that he is posing no threat. He's not on the hunt. Please don't alarm call at me. It's a unique adaptation. I've never seen any other cat with it. I don't think that the pom-pom on the lion's tail serves anything like the same purpose. Fascinating. Now, Brian, I'm a bit worried this thing's going to turn off, so I'm going to just give it a clap. Okay, I'm going to clap everyone. I hope it's not going to disturb the leopard. There we go. I think that'll do it. I hope so, because I tell you what, that 360-degree shot of that leopard in front of the car will be something epic. Beautiful. Within this pan, of course, there are a whole lot of terrapins, and they're swimming about, hoping for the odd invertebrate to come. And that's one of them in front of his face. That little sticky arty thing that looks like a piece of mud is in fact a terrapin's head, a terrapin's beak sticking out of the water. Hello Heidi in North Carolina. You've obviously noticed how incredibly relaxed he is around the vehicles, and I think you're wondering why. And you want to know if perhaps he's grown up with vehicles in the same way that Karula has, and Shadow and many of the other leopards around the Sabi Sands. Yes, he has, completely. He does actually come from Lion Sands, which is way down in the south. So his existence here is fantastic because it does mean that he brings some genetic diversity to the area. But yes, he's known vehicles since he was a very small fellow. You can see how much they drink. I'm always amazed by the amount that they're prepared to drink, and also the quality of the water they're prepared to drink. This is something of a cesspool full of buffalo dung, mud, hippo dung, and, well, obviously also the dung of many terrapins. And it doesn't affect their bellies at all. Beautiful picture of him there. Extremely lucky we are to spend this amount of time with him, and now we have him all to ourselves, which is even better. Fantastic stuff. Well, he's having his evening drink. I hope wherever you are in the world, you too are sitting back, inhaling deeply and appreciating this spectacular sight that we're looking at. And perhaps if it happens to be evening where you are, you have your favorite snifter with you and you're relaxing after a tough day. If you're at the office, I hope that you have a cup of coffee with you and that you have totally foregone any kind of work that you were supposed to be doing so that you might spend some time looking at Tingana and his reflection in the dying embers of this, I think it's the 10th of February already. Isn't that wonderful? Look at how aware he is, extremely aware all the time. And Donna, you want to know if leopards might mate with related leopards. So could there be inbreeding? Donna, yes, it happens regularly. And in the cats, apparently, it can take up to sort of 6 generations before there will be any deformities. For example, I guess a cat might be born with 6 digits on its feet, for example. That would be an example of inbreeding, if you like. But for 6 generations or so, it would make almost no difference. So Mvula is from this area. I'm not exactly sure who his parents are. He's, almost 11 years old now. In fact, I think he's almost 12. And there's no question he will share some of the same genetics as Karula, but the offspring, Quarantine and Konuma, they're absolutely fine. They don't show any deleterious effects at all. But it is important, or why it's so great that Tingana is in this area and that he's been mating with Shadow, who's Karula's daughter, as well as Karula, because he does bring a great deal of genetic diversity into the area. You can see with the wind blowing, he's tremendously aware all the time. He's always looking around the place because he can't hear. If there's a potential threat approaching, he won't be able to hear it. This is exactly the kind of time of night that hyenas might want to come out and have a drink. They'll start moving away from the den now and go out foraging, and he won't want to come across too many hyenas together. One on their own, he'll slink off or just sneak up a tree and be fine. But he won't want them to sneak up on him. Beautiful frame there with the log behind him. Still drinking away. He's had a lot to drink this evening, this fellow. I'm loath to put a light on him, everyone, just simply because unless we have to, I don't really want to, and we don't have too much time left. So I think if you'll bear with us, I'm just going to let him drink in peace without without a light in his eyes. You're right there, Brian. Hey? If he was moving and he was thinking about going to do something around the hunt, I might. And if somebody else was coming across to look at him, then I might as well. But as he's on his own, I think I'll just let him be. Surrounded as he is by the terrapins, the wind, the smell of the dust, which smells very like a winter's evening, which obviously it isn't. Very little in the way of vegetation smell at all. So the camera is actually showing you light that is not actually here anymore. It's sucking out light from a scene that is all very dark. And as I say that, we had a question this morning while I was walking, I forget from whom it was, but about cicadas and why we're not hearing them even though it's the height of summer. And I said because there was a bit of a drought going and most of them have probably bred already and pressed on. They've had their life cycle. As I say that, there's a cicada firing up behind us. So there are still a few of them around. And it was Cindy this morning who asked us about the cicadas. So Cindy, if you're watching, there are still a couple of cicadas around. Definitely nothing like as sort of brain-shakingly loud as they were around October and November. Alrighty, let's nip over to Steph quickly so that he can show you some elephants. I'm going to stay here with Tingana. I'll see you very shortly.
And from one mammal drinking to another, and not quite as spectacular on an individual basis, but have a look at how awesome all these ellies are together. And we just wanted to show you this as the sun sets on what's been quite an epic sunset safari for myself and Andrew. I just want to say thank you. I thank you for all your questions and I thank you for all your inputs. And from myself and Andrew, at least, this is going to be the end. We're going to be sending you back to James and back to Tingana, who's busy drinking, it seems like, the whole of the dam. And I am jealous. But anyway, we'll catch you in the morning safari. Have a good evening wherever you are.
Right, well, he's still here. He's still having a drink. And as Jerry says, it looks like he's drinking the whole of the dam. It certainly does look like that. But what a privilege. So just a few more minutes left, everyone. Ruth in Costa Rica, you want to know actually how much water he's getting at a sitting like this. Ruth, I'm afraid I couldn't really tell you, to be honest. I don't know. I would say, given what he's able to eat mass-wise, he's about probably 65 to 70 kilograms, maybe 70 kilograms or so, and he can eat about up to between a quarter and a third of his body mass in one sitting. Look at that. Wonderful. I would imagine that he could drink probably a similar amount to the amount that he could eat. So probably about 5 or 6 liters. I mean, that sounds like an enormous amount. I'm just going to put a little bit of light on him just for the last few minutes. That's not a spotlight, it's quite a nice diffused side light. So Ruth, I don't know, I guess maybe a gallon in one sitting. I might be completely wrong, but maybe a gallon. Look at him. Isn't he lovely? So this diffused light that we've got on the side of the vehicle is just much more friendly than a blinding spotlight. So he'll be able to sort of see past it. As Jerry says, he looks very alert. He certainly is alert. But that's because, well, he's alert because it's so windy. And so just like the prey, you know, the impala and the antelope that are worried about being eaten in the wind, so he will be worried about being sort of set upon by hyenas or anything like that. Stunning stuff. Right, so we're going to just give you a slightly different angle by switching to the dam camera. And just give you a slightly different angle of him. He's definitely eaten. And of course, he's also now got hiccups. That's classic. That is hilarious. One hiccup. Brian, like you. And leopards will do a lot of drinking after they've been eating. They get very thirsty. Digestion is a thirsty process. And you can see that fat belly. Truly very quiet day until the reports of Karula coming to drink were received. Of course, you saw her twice today, which is extremely lucky for you. And then Tingana, our old pal from the south. Right, well, that's about it from us, everyone. We will see you tomorrow morning. I'm not sure who's driving tomorrow morning, actually. Thank you, Brian, for your efforts. Well done. And lovely to have Steph on board again, of course, with Brian. And, of course, Brian's thumb, at least with Andrew, Steph was. Thanks to Kirsty and, of course, to Jerry in the final control. And to all of you, wherever you are in the world, stay safe and happy. And I hope that you enjoy watching the Dam Cam for the rest of the night. We will see you in the morning. Bye-bye.